no problem. So when you're talking to me, just look at me in the eyes. Look at me. So hello and welcome to a game of two halves. In today's episode, we'll be looking at the ongoing work being done in the community for local sport. I'm your host, Chris Stonage, and later on in the show, we'll be looking at what makes a local Cymru Premier side so special, how academy football is benefiting the community in Cardiff, and lastly, we'll be looking at the benefits of employing student journalists. We'll also be talking to Oddball's ambassador from Cardiff University right here in the studio. But before we get on into all of that, here's our sports headlines for today. Welsh football hero Chris Gunter has been announced as a member of Wales's backroom staff ahead of the European qualifiers in March. It was only last week that he announced his retirement from the international game. Wales's European qualifier campaign looks to be in trouble though, as an injury-ridden squad prepare for the side's first game against Croatia. Brennan Johnson will be assessed this evening to deal with the suspected groin injury he sustained for his club side Nottingham Forest. Continuing with football, Cardiff City's game against Rotherham this weekend was cancelled due to the rainy weather. Before the fixture was over, a hopeful Cardiff were 1-0 up as they prepared to go into the big derby match against Swansea on the 1st of April. In the rugby, the Six Nations has come to an end. In spite of there being some unpredictable fixtures, Andy Farrell's Ireland have come out as Grand Slam winners. Warren Gatland's men finished the tournament with a 41-28 loss to France, but hope stay alive with the squad as the surprise performance has given them high prospects for the World Cup, according to Gatland himself. That's enough from me though, as we start today's show with a look at local football academies and how they're using their facilities and skills as coaches to help the community and its players. Louis Holbrook has the story.
Ben Slade is the manager at Pontypridd United Academy. Him and his team are currently doing everything they can to help these young players progress both on and off the pitch.
So the first part of my job is to be academy manager and look after around 180 to 190 players within the academy, and they are following the FAW pathway within our football club to hopefully bounce potentially into a professional academy, but also a pathway within our club hopefully into our first team. So there's a lot of time, a lot of effort that goes into that with around 48 members of staff from a coaching point of view, a medical point of view, a sports science point of view, all to cater for player development. And then my community role is to try and create lots of community provisions to affect as many people, as young people as possible, and that through the power of sport and through the power of the badge, to engage them young people, to promote mental health, to promote exercise and fun within a safe environment.
Ben also discussed with me how he believes Pontypridd Academy is unique and what separates them as a club compared to many others in and around South Wales.
For me, it's a level of care. So in terms of sport and provisions, if you have that level of care around the individual, I think that goes a long way. So definitely regarding Ponty's, a level of care, there's a level of attention and detail that goes into it as well, which is really important. So, and going above and beyond sort of your job and your responsibility is important, and that's what I feel we do really well.
One thing that Ben really wants for his academy players is a bright and successful future.
Well, obviously, we want to see, first and foremost, academy players within the first team or academy players going into the professional clubs. We've got Cardiff, Swansea, Newport on our doorstep. And if they don't do that, it's really important that we affect the human first and the person first. So, but by that, I mean, it'd be successful as if they go on to be a lawyer or if they go on to university. So two things really. See if we can get them to be good footballers, whether that's professional or semi-professional, or can we get them give them a positive experience through the eyes of the club, to ensure that they go on and live a good life in society.
We have with us today one of our third-year sports journalism students from the University of South Wales. Rhys James has done a lot of work for football clubs in and around South Wales and has high hopes for the future after his graduation. So Rhys, what is it that you're aiming to do after university finishes?
Well, I think first of all I deserve a bit of a break. I mean, it's been a long 3 years, but rewarding as well. I think some of the things I've done have sort of inspired me to maybe have a couple of ideas as to what I want to go on to do eventually. So once that sort of break is over, I mean, I've been working for United Transfer Room for over a year now, which is owned by Sports Illustrated. So that's a really good experience. I'm sort of taking a bit of a break with that now, but I'll be back after that once uni finishes. And yeah, I've been working with Newport City as well, a Welsh club in the third tier of Welsh football. So that's been really good placement for me as well.
Yeah, and how sort of do you intend, you mentioned your break, absolutely well deserved. But afterwards, how do you intend to sort of navigate the ever competitive world of sports journalism and sports media?
Yeah, well, it's a world that is competitive. I mean, there's so many different roles that you can do, but there's so many different people filling them as well. I think you can be a traditional sports journalist. I could go into, videography or, commentary, anything like that. And it's just about finding the thing that's right for me. So I think for me, it's writing, finding stories, videography, stuff like that. I think personally that's going to be the thing that I want to go into and do eventually for the rest of my sort of career in this sort of industry.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rhys. So now we move on to Cymru Premier side Pontypridd United, who have made a massive step in working towards creating a club for inclusivity and positivity through their work in and around the community. But they also have some plans for the future.
Pontypridd United were promoted to the JD Cymru Premier at the start of the season, and they've been doing all that they can to improve the community both off and on the pitch.
I've been with the club 15 years, so I've seen a lot of progress from 1992 when it started and to where we are today. And the position that we're in today is very, a lot of clubs are in envy that we've managed to do it. And that's only because we've got so many good people in the club.
It's a very ambitious club, so I think, the goals we set every year. This year our goal was just to stay up, so provided we hit the goals this year, I'm sure we'll set new ones next year, and hopefully kick on from there.
At the whole involvement, I think, from the outside community with the club. I think still a lot of people don't know what's going on in Ponty United. If you realise what it offers to families, to the girls, to the boys, to the teenagers, and coming to watch our first teams play, women's team and the men's team. We need more support. It'd be great to have all people.
I also asked those involved with Pontypridd United what it was that made the club so special.
Community. Ponty family. Absolutely tremendous. And I think that's from grassroots up to Reason, who works with the girls team, right the way through to, our Tier 1 team. Everybody involved in it. I mean, it's just one tremendous community. Now I feel proud to be part of it.
What really cool to me was the community I was in the club. I think, from the players to the owners to the fans, everybody was just so. It was like a family, I think, and I think it's just a really strong community and family.
Club president Max James even had this to say about the surrounding area of sports within Pontypridd.
I love to see all clubs, all sport in the Pontypridd area doing well.
Now we go once again to Louis Holbrook, who gives us a behind-the-scenes insight into the inner workings of student sports journalism and how it can and has helped the local community.
More and more students are being called upon every year to help out big companies or clubs, and sports journalism is no exception. Student volunteers can help out clubs and companies to share the workload whilst gaining some experience outside of university. Sian Cousins, a development officer from Street Football Wales, has had help from the students here at USW. Here's what she had to say.
We've benefited massively from you guys coming in and supporting us, whether that be throughout sessions, so helping us support growing our social media and kind of making a more professional outlook on socials, as well as, coming out to events and also our national competitions as well. Having that captured from a student that's kind of learning, so obviously they're benefiting by getting real life experience of, working with a charity and organisation. Also, we're benefiting massively because, we're definitely growing and we're looking to create more of a professional output. So getting that, opinions and the fresh ideas from students involved in what we do, we've benefited massively in it. So
I spoke to Sian as well about how students can be employed by bigger and high-profile clubs and companies, and how such clubs can yield the benefits of employing student journalists.
The modules are so in-depth and they're learning a lot. And, for them to grow as students, the real-life application of that is so important to them. Also, for the companies, you've got to put your trust in young people. They're learning, they're going to try their hardest, and also bring such fresh new ideas and different ways of looking at things. And, that will help them just as much as the student on the job.
Thanks again, Louis. Oddballs is a company that's dedicated to testicular cancer awareness, who have raised and donated over £650,000 since 2014. And I'm joined by Finn Ryan Morgan, who is an ambassador for the company based at Cardiff University. So Finn, tell me, what is it you and other ambassadors like you actually do?
So day to day, the main aspect of the role is, like you say, raising awareness. So one of the pivotal things that we do is go into schools and do a lot of talks with school kids from ages 11 plus. So we talk to secondary schools and sixth forms, both genders as well, because one thing that I like to say is we all have men in our life to some extent, be that a father, brother, potentially sons in the future. So it's really important that we get that message across, and talks in businesses as well, talks in schools, and doing some fundraising is all part of the role.
Absolutely. So Oddballs, of course, they've raised a lot of money already, but I want to talk more about you and how you actually got involved with this. What drove you to become this ambassador?
Yeah, so it's something that I've been aware of since I've been at university, definitely. We get a car that's plastered in a similar pattern to this, so it's really hard to miss around Cardiff. But I knew one of the old ambassadors, and he talked me into it. But I also have a connection to testicular cancer itself. My father was diagnosed with it in 2010. And it was never life-threatening, but it was a bit of a shock. I was quite young at the time. And it was just really powerful to see that journey. And I think when this opportunity cropped up, being a medical student as well, I'm all for health promotion and breaking down stigma around personal issues such as this. So I thought as soon as I had the opportunity at my doorstep, it's definitely something that I could see the value in.
Absolutely. Is it something that you ever envisaged going to do at university?
Not really. I've played rugby at junior levels and was aware of the pants and had a fair number of pairs myself, and had an idea of what it was about. I knew it was related to testicular cancer, but when I was younger, the ambassador program wasn't as big as it is now. That's one thing that we're really proud of at the foundation, that we've grown exponentially as the years have gone on. We started off with 4 ambassadors. Now we're up to 50 across the UK and Ireland as well. And it's something that I kind of knew about but didn't know that this role was there. So as soon as it hit my doorstep, I was up for it.
Yeah, and also you mentioned how much it's already exponentially grown. You've got representatives across universities all across the UK. What's the next step for Oddballs?
Well, global expansion, I think. Yeah.
World takeover, world domination.
Yeah, so we're finding that our numbers of people that we're reaching are getting bigger and bigger, and where ultimately there's still barriers in the journey of someone maybe checking themselves and finding something that we're still not hitting what we want to hit. So a lot of the things with men, and we find this with men's mental health as well, is that talking is a really hard thing for some men to do, a lot of men to do, and it's completely normal and completely understandable. So one thing that we always push in our talks is telling people the appropriate way and appropriate time and getting them comfortable to check themselves. But checking themselves is one thing, and this is always a kind of like I like to call it, a bit of a speed bump in the journey. You can check yourself, you can find something, that's one step, but then you need to go and do something about it, and that's often where a lot of people fall at the hurdle, and finding that I don't feel comfortable going and talking to someone about such a personal issue, or God forbid, you know, if I have to have a physical exam, then I'm not comfortable with that. And I think that's really where our target's going, is making sure that, you know, it's still through the work that we're doing and fundraising, getting the message out there, but just getting everyone comfortable.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. It's a really insightful talk. So now we go on to what we'll have in the next episode. We will speak to an ex-basketball professional, a mental health advocate, and spend a match day at Newport County with one of our third years. We'll also be joined in the studio by a former cheerleader and coach for the Swansea Sirens. Once again, Finn, it has been great chatting to you, and the work that you do for Rod Balls to raise awareness is just fantastic. That's all we have time for today. A massive thank you once again, and we will see you in the next show. See you later. Bye-bye.